The Galactic Concord Station floated quietly above the swirling clouds of a giant gas planet. Its huge silver shape looked peaceful from far away, like a shining coin in the black of space. Inside, hundreds of beings from many worlds gathered in the big central atrium. Tall crystal beings from Vexar stood in one corner, their bodies catching the light like glass. Feathered Lorid delegates moved their wings softly as they talked. Krell, with soft brown fur and big round eyes, sat in groups, speaking in low voices. This was an important meeting. Species that usually stayed far apart had come to talk about trade, borders, and peace. No one wanted war, but everyone was careful. Trust was hard in a galaxy full of different minds. In the middle of the crowd sat Hyun, a young Krell diplomat. Her fur was light brown, and her ears twitched every time someone spoke too loudly. She wore the simple blue robe of her people. Next to her sat Jiho, the only human in the room. Jiho looked relaxed. He leaned back in his chair, with his legs stretched out. His dark hair was a little messy, and he wore the plain gray uniform all humans got when they joined the Concord. He was eating a small bar of compressed food, chewing slowly while watching the aliens around him. Ha-Un turned to him. Jiho, please sit straight. This is a serious summit. Jiho smiled. I am serious. I'm seriously hungry. These bars taste like cardboard, but at least they fill my stomach. Ha-Un's ears went flat. You always make jokes. What if the others think humans are not serious? Then they'll learn the truth, Jiho said with a small laugh. We're serious when we need to be. Right now, I need food. Ha-Un sighed. She had known Jiho for 6 months. At first she thought humans were strange and loud, but Jiho was different. He listened when it mattered. He helped fix small problems on the station. He never looked scared, even when big warriors from other species stared at him. Ha-Un liked that about him. She felt safer when he was near. Across the atrium, Security Chief Minsok stood tall. He was a tall, strong being from the Goran people. His skin was gray and thick like armor. He wore a black uniform with many badges. His sharp eyes moved over the crowd again and again. He did not trust easy meetings. Trouble always came when people lowered their guard. Minsok spoke into his wrist communicator. All teams, stay alert. No mistakes today. His second-in-command, Sujin, answered from the control room. Everything is green, Chief. No ships outside the allowed zone. Sensors are clear. Minsok nodded once. He looked at the human again. Jiho was now telling Ha-Un a story about something called spicy ramen back on Earth. Ha-Un listened with wide eyes. Minsok shook his head. They came from a death world, full of poison animals, violent storms, and sharp-toothed fish. Yet this one laughed like nothing could hurt him. The summit leader, an old Vexar named Lyra, stepped onto the raised platform. Her crystal body glowed softly. She raised one long arm. Friends, she said in the clear trade language, we begin. Today we speak of shared space lanes. Let peace guide our words. Everyone became quiet. Delegates opened their data pads. The air felt heavy with hope and worry. Then the lights flickered. A low hum filled the room. The hum grew louder. Red warning lights flashed on every wall. A voice came from the speakers, calm but urgent. Unauthorized vessel detected. Perimeter breach in progress. All security to battle stations. Delegates looked around. Some stood up. Others stayed frozen in their seats. Minsek shouted, Shields up! Close the blast doors! Sujin's voice answered over comms. Systems are fighting me. Something is jamming. Before she finished, a bright flash appeared in the center of the atrium. The flash died, and a shape stood there. It was tall, taller than any Goran. Its body looked like black metal mixed with living shadow. long arms ended in claws that curved like knives. Its head had no face, only a smooth plate with two burning red eyes. Thin lines of blue energy ran across its armor like veins. It did not move at first. It simply stood and looked around. Everyone knew what it was. A killer. Stories about them spread like cold fear across the galaxy. They came from a hidden world no one had ever mapped. They did not speak much. They did not make friends. They hunted. One killer could kill a whole squad of soldiers in seconds. They were made for death. Nothing scared them. Nothing stopped them for long. The atrium went completely silent. Ha-Yun's fur stood up. Ji-Ho. That's... Ji-Ho looked at the killer. His eyes narrowed a little, but his mouth curved into a small smile. Min-Sok pulled his sidearm. His hand shook just a bit. All units, target center, do not let it move. Guards raised weapons, but no one fired. Their legs felt heavy. Their hearts beat too fast. The killer gave off something, maybe a smell, maybe a sound, that made most beings freeze in terror. It was built into them, a weapon without bullets. The killer turned its head slowly. The red eyes locked on Lyra, the summit leader. It took one step forward. Delegates screamed and ran. Chairs fell over. Some hid under tables. Others tried to push toward the exits, but the doors were sealed. Ha-Un pulled at Ji-Ho. We have to run. Come on. Ji-Ho did not move. He stood up slowly. He put his empty food wrapper in his pocket like it was normal. Then he laughed. It was not a nervous laugh. It was real. Like he had just heard a good joke. The sound cut through the fear like a knife through fog. Everyone who could still think looked at him. The killer paused. Its head tilted a little, as if confused. Ji-Ho walked forward. Not fast, not slow, just normal steps. His hands stayed loose at his sides. Hey, he said in a clear voice. Nice entrance. Very dramatic. Did you rehearse that? The killer did not answer. Ji-Ho stopped 5 steps away. He looked up at the tall monster. Big guy, huh? Those claws look sharp. Bet they hurt. But you know what? He grinned wider. I've seen worse on my planet, and I'm still here. Ha-Un stared. Min-Sok stared. The guards stared. Even the killer seemed to wait, as if it did not understand. Ji-Ho cracked his neck. So, you here to talk, or just to ruin everyone's day? The killer raised one claw, and Ji-Ho laughed again, louder this time. Everyone froze when the killer appeared, except the laughing human Deathworlder. The killer moved first. One long arm whipped forward faster than any eye could follow. The claw aimed straight for Ji-Ho's chest, sharp enough to cut through steel. Everyone expected blood. Everyone expected screams. Ji-Ho stepped to the side. Not a big step, just enough. The claw sliced empty air with a hiss. He felt the wind from it brush his shirt. Ji-Ho laughed again, short and bright. Whoa, fast, but predictable. The killer turned its burning red eyes on him. For a second the monster seemed to pause, like it could not believe what just happened. No one dodged like that. No one laughed after. Ha-Un still held Ji-Ho's sleeve. Her fingers shook. Ji-Ho, please, get back. Ji-Ho patted her hand gently. It's okay, Ha-Un. Stay behind me. Min-Sek finally found his voice. Fire. All units, fire now. The guards shook off their fear just enough. Plasma shots lit up the atrium. Blue bolts flew toward the killer from every side. Most hit the black armor. Some bounced off. A few left small scorch marks. The killer did not even flinch. It raised both arms. Thin whips of blue energy snapped out from its forearms like living lightning. One whip cracked across the floor. It cut a deep line in the metal. Chairs and tables flew apart. Delegates screamed and ran again. A lurid delegate with bright feathers got too close. The whip caught his wing. He fell with a sharp cry. Ji-Ho saw it. His smile faded for the first time. His eyes got hard. "Hey," he said louder. "That's not nice." He picked up a broken metal chair leg from the ground. It was heavy, but he held it like a bat. The killer turned back to him. It lunged again, both claws out this time. Jiho swung the chair leg hard. It hit the killer's arm with a loud clang. The arm jerked back. Not much damage, but enough to surprise it. The killer roared. The sound was deep and wrong. It made glass crack on the walls. Many delegates covered their ears. Some fell to their knees. Jiho did not cover his ears. He just grinned wider. "Loud, huh? My neighbor's dog was louder when the mail came." He threw the broken chair leg like a spear. It hit the killer square in the chest plate. The metal stuck for a second, then fell off. No blood, no real hurt, but the killer stepped back one pace. Minsok stared. "How?" Sujin's voice came over the comms, fast and scared. "Chief, the killer's tech is jamming our systems. I can't get the bulkheads down. But the human, he's still standing." Jiho circled to the left. He kept his eyes on the red glow. "Come on, big guy. You wanted attention. You got it." The killer whipped again. This time both energy lashes came at once. Jiho dropped low and rolled under them. The whips hit a pillar behind him. Stone and metal exploded. Dust filled the air. Jiho popped up right behind the killer. He jumped. His arms wrapped around the thick neck from behind. He squeezed hard. Earth gravity had made human muscles strong. Jiho was not the biggest man, but he was tough, very tough. The killer reached back with one claw. It tried to pull him off. Jiho held on. He laughed right next to the smooth headplate. "Gotcha." The killer bent forward fast. It flipped Jiho over its shoulder like a toy. He flew through the air and hit a table. Wood cracked. Plates and datapads scattered. Jiho slid across the floor and stopped against a wall. Pain shot through his back. He tasted blood in his mouth. But he pushed himself up on one elbow. Then he stood, slowly. He wiped his lip with the back of his hand. Red smear. He looked at it and smiled. "Not bad," he said. "You hit harder than my old boxing coach." Haun ran to him. "You're hurt." "I'm fine," he said. "Just a little love tap." The killer walked toward him again, slower this time. It studied him. Its head tilted. The blue lines on its armor pulsed faster. Minsok moved forward with his team. They fired again. More shots, more sparks. The killer ignored them. Its eyes stayed on Jiho. "Why?" the killer said. The voice came from inside its headplate. Cold, flat, like a machine learning to talk. "Why no fear?" Jiho spit a little blood on the floor. "Fear? Sure I feel it. But on my world, fear is normal. Sharks in the water, snakes in the grass, cars that can kill you in a second, storms that tear houses apart. We grow up with it. We learn to laugh at it. Makes it smaller." The killer stopped 2 steps away. "You are broken." Jiho laughed so hard he almost coughed. "Broken? Nah, just human." He looked around. Delegates were hiding. Guards were trying to reload. Haun stood close, eyes wide with worry. Minsok gripped his gun tight. Jiho turned back to the killer. "You know what's funny? Everyone here is scared of you. But right now, you look a little scared of me." The killer's eyes flared brighter. It raised one claw high. Jiho spread his arms. "Come on then, let's dance." The claw came down like an axe. Jiho jumped to the side. The claw smashed the floor where he stood. Metal bent. A hole opened. He grabbed a fallen guard's plasma rifle from the ground. It was heavy, but he lifted it easy. He fired, point blank, right at the killer's chest. The bolt hit hard. Black armor smoked. A small crack appeared. The killer staggered back 1 step. Jiho lowered the rifle. See? You bleed too. Or at least, you crack. The atrium was quiet, except for breathing and small cries. No one moved. Ha-Un whispered, Jiho, how are you doing this? Jiho looked at her. His grin was still there, but softer now. Simple. I'm from a death world. We don't freeze. We fight. And we laugh while we do it. The killer straightened. The crack in its armor sealed slowly. Blue energy flowed over it, like water healing a cut. It spoke again. You will die. Jiho lifted the rifle again. Maybe, but not today, and not quiet. He charged. The killer met him halfway. They crashed together, like storm and stone. Everyone froze when the killer appeared, except the laughing human Deathworlder. Jiho and the killer slammed into each other like two storms meeting. The black armored monster swung its claws in wide arcs. Jiho ducked and weaved. He used the plasma rifle like a club when he could not shoot. Sparks flew every time metal hit armor. The atrium floor was already full of broken pieces. Chairs, tables, bits of wall. Smoke rose from burned spots where energy whips had struck. Jiho fired again. The bolt hit the same crack in the killer's chest. The crack grew a little wider. Blue energy leaked out like blood from a wound. The killer made a low hiss. It sounded angry. Minsek saw his chance. Flank it, left and right, he shouted to his team. 3 guards moved. They shot from the sides. Their plasma bolts hit the killer's legs. It turned fast. One whip snapped out and caught a guard in the arm. The guard screamed and fell. His weapon clattered away. Jiho saw it. Not today, he muttered. He ran straight at the killer again. This time he jumped high. He kicked off a fallen pillar and twisted in the air. His boot hit the side of the killer's headplate. A loud crack rang out. The plate dented. The red eyes flickered for a second. The killer grabbed Jiho by the leg in midair. It swung him hard. Jiho flew into a wall. Plaster cracked. He slid down and landed on his feet, but he coughed once. Pain shot through his ribs. He ignored it. Ha-Un watched from behind a broken console. Her hands covered her mouth. Tears ran down her soft fur. Stop. Please stop. Sujin's voice came over the open comms. Everyone could hear her now. Chief, I broke through part of the jam. I can open the inner doors to the core corridor. But the killer signal is still blocking full lockdown. Minsok answered fast. Do it. Get us a path to the armory or the escape pods. Jiho wiped sweat from his face. He looked at the killer. You're tough, I give you that. But you fight like a machine. All power, no fun. The killer tilted its head again. Fun is weakness. Jiho laughed. It hurt his ribs, but he laughed anyway. Weakness? Fun keeps us going when everything else says quit. You should try it sometime. He picked up a piece of sharp metal from the floor. It was part of a chair frame. He held it like a knife. The killer raised its whips. Blue energy crackled louder. Delegates who had not run yet peeked out from hiding spots. A young Vexar with cracked crystals on his arm whispered to another. The human. He's still smiling. The killer charged. Whips lashed out in a storm. Jiho rolled left, then right. He slid under one whip. He popped up and slashed with the metal piece. It scraped across the killer's arm. A thin line of blue liquid appeared. The killer pulled back. Jiho kept moving. He ran toward the far wall, where Sujin had just opened a heavy door. The corridor beyond led deeper into the station, toward the central core and the big reactor. Come on, Jiho yelled to Minsok. We take this fight away from the crowd. Minsok nodded. Fall back. Cover the human. The guards fired covering shots. Blue bolts lit the way. The killer followed Jiho. Its steps were heavy. Each one shook the floor a little. Ha-Un ran after them. She could not stay behind. Jiho, wait! Jiho looked back once. Ha-Un, stay safe. Get the others out. but she kept coming. Her small legs moved fast. They reached the corridor. It was long and narrow. Lights blinked red along the walls. Pipes ran overhead. The air smelled like hot metal and ozone. Jiho stopped at the first turn. He turned to face the killer again. The monster filled the doorway. Its shadow stretched long under the emergency lights. Minsok and two guards caught up. They stood beside Jiho. Their guns stayed up. The killer spoke. "You delay the end. Pointless." Jiho leaned against the wall. He breathed hard, but steady. "Delay? Nah, I'm just making it interesting." He looked at Minsok. "Chief, you got any big guns in that armory?" Minsok nodded. "Heavy repeaters, concussion grenades, but we need time to get there." Jiho grinned. "Then let's buy time." The killer moved forward, slow, sure. It knew no one could stop it forever. Jiho pushed off the wall. He ran straight at it again. This time he did not dodge right away. He waited until the last second. Then he dropped low and slid between the killer's legs. He came up behind it and fired the plasma rifle into the back of one knee joint. The joint sparked. The killer stumbled. Minsok and the guards fired too. The leg buckled a little. The killer spun. Its whip caught one guard in the chest. The guard flew back and hit the wall hard. He did not get up. Jiho cursed under his breath. Enough! He grabbed a loose pipe from the wall. It was hot, but he did not care. He swung it like a staff. The pipe hit the killer's arm. Metal bent. The killer grabbed the pipe and pulled. Jiho let go fast. He rolled away. Ha-Un reached them. She picked up the fallen guard's sidearm. Her hands shook, but she pointed it at the killer. "Leave him alone." The killer looked at her. Its red eyes narrowed. It raised a claw toward her. Jiho stepped in front. Not her. He tackled the killer again. They crashed into the wall. Pipes burst. Steam filled the air. Hot water sprayed everywhere. Jiho held on. He wrapped his legs around the killer's waist. He punched the cracked spot on its chest over and over. Each hit made the crack bigger. Blue liquid sprayed out. The killer roared. It slammed Jiho against the wall. Once, twice. Pain exploded in Jiho's back. He saw stars. But he kept punching. Minsok fired his last shots into the crack. Something inside sparked. The killer's movement slowed. Jiho dropped to the floor. He gasped for air. Blood ran from a cut on his forehead. The killer stood tall again. But it moved slower now. One arm hung a little limp. Jiho looked up at it. He smiled through the blood. "Getting tired, big guy?" The killer did not answer. It just stared. Ha-Un ran to Jiho. She helped him stand. "You're crazy," she whispered. Jiho chuckled weakly. "Crazy works." Minsok came close. "We need to move. The core is close. If we can get there, we can trap it near the reactor." Jiho nodded. "Good plan. Let's go." They started down the corridor. The killer followed. Slower, but still coming. He laughed again. Soft this time. "Keep up, Shadow Man. The fun's just starting." Everyone froze when the killer appeared, except a laughing human Deathworlder. The corridor grew darker as they moved deeper into the station. Red emergency lights blinked every few steps. The air felt hotter. The low hum of the reactor grew louder ahead. Jiho walked in front. His shirt was torn. Blood dried on his face and arms. Every breath hurt his ribs, but he kept his back straight. He still held the plasma rifle, though the power cell showed yellow, almost empty. Behind him came Ha-Un. She clutched the small sidearm with both hands. Her ears stayed flat against her head. Minsok followed with his last guard. The guard limped. His arm hung useless at his side. The killer came last. Its steps echoed heavy and slow. One leg dragged a little from the damage Jiho and the others had done. Blue liquid dripped from cracks in its armor. The drops sizzled when they hit the floor. Jiho glanced back. Still with us, huh? Wouldn't want you to miss the big finish. The killer did not speak. Its red eyes burned steady. They reached the end of the corridor. A wide platform opened up. Below it stretched the central reactor core. A huge cylinder of glowing blue plasma spun slowly inside thick glass and force fields. Heat waves rose from it. The air shimmered. Metal walkways circled the core on many levels. Railings lined the edges. One wrong step, and anyone would fall straight into the burning heart of the station. Sujin's voice crackled over the comms. Chief, you're at the core access level. I've locked the outer doors behind you. The killer can't call for backup now. But the reactor shielding is thin here. One big hit could overload everything. Minsek nodded. Understood. We end this here. Jiho stepped onto the platform. He looked down at the reactor. The blue light painted his face. Nice view. Almost romantic. Too bad we brought company. The killer stepped out behind them. It stopped at the edge of the platform. Its head turned slowly. It scanned the room. Then its eyes locked on Jiho again. Jiho raised the rifle. Last chance, Shadow Man. Walk away, or we finish this the hard way. The killer raised both arms. The energy whips snapped out longer than before. They glowed bright. The air around them buzzed. Minsok shouted, Spread out! Don't let it corner us! The guard moved left. Minsok went right. Haon stayed close to Jiho. The killer lunged. It moved faster than it should have with a damaged leg. One whip lashed at Minsok. He dove behind a console. Sparks flew where the whip hit. The other whip came for Jiho. Jiho jumped back. The whip missed by inches. It cut through a railing. Metal pieces fell into the reactor below. They melted in seconds. Jiho fired his last shots. The rifle clicked empty. It bounced off the armor. The killer closed in. It grabbed Jiho by the front of his shirt. It lifted him off the ground. Jiho's feet dangled. Pain shot through his body. Haon screamed, No! She raised her sidearm. She fired. The small bolt hit the killer's arm. It did almost nothing, but the killer looked at her. It raised its free claw toward her. Jiho kicked hard. His boot hit the killer's cracked chest. The crack split wider. Blue liquid sprayed out. The killer loosened its grip just enough. Jiho twisted free. He dropped to the platform. He rolled away. The killer turned back to him. It stepped forward. Jiho stood up. He breathed hard. Blood ran fresh from his nose. He wiped it away. Then he smiled, wide and real. You know what the funny part is? He said. You're scared of me now. The killer froze for half a second. Its red eyes flickered. Jiho kept talking. Yeah, you are. All that power, all those kills, and one little human from a wet rock won't stop laughing. That bugs you, doesn't it? Minsok used the moment. He ran to a control panel. He typed fast. Sujin, drop the secondary shields on my mark. Sujin answered. Ready. But if the core breaches, the whole station goes in minutes. Jiho nodded to Minsok. Do it when I say. The killer roared. It charged straight at Jiho. Jiho did not run. He waited. At the last second, he grabbed the railing. He swung himself up and over. He landed on the narrow catwalk above. The killer's claws scraped the spot where he had stood. Jiho ran along the catwalk. It circled the reactor. The heat burned his skin. Sweat poured down his face. The killer jumped after him. Its claws dug into the metal. It climbed fast. Jiho stopped at a wide section. He turned. Here we are, no more running. The killer reached the same level. It stood 10 steps away. Its damaged arm hung lower now. Blue liquid pooled at its feet. Jiho spread his arms. Come get me. The killer rushed forward. Jiho waited until it was close. Then he dropped low. He tackled the killer's legs. They both crashed against the railing. Metal bent. The railing cracked. The killer grabbed Jiho by the throat. It lifted him again. This time it held him over the edge. Below them, the reactor glowed bright. Heat rose like fire. Jiho looked down, then back at the killer. He grinned through the pain. "You win if you drop me," he said. "But you lose too, because I'll take you with me." He wrapped his legs around the killer's waist. He locked his arms around its neck. Then he pushed off the railing with all his strength. They both tipped over the edge. Ha-un screamed. Min-sok reached out too late. Jiho and the killer fell together. They twisted in the air. Jiho held on tight. Halfway down, Jiho let go with one hand. He grabbed a hanging cable. It burned his palm. He swung hard. The momentum carried them toward the wall instead of straight into the plasma. They hit the lower platform with a crash. Metal groaned. Jiho landed on top. The killer hit its back first. Jiho rolled off. He gasped for air. Everything hurt. His vision blurred. The killer tried to stand. Its armor sparked. One eye dimmed. Jiho pushed himself up on shaking arms. He looked at the monster. "Still laughing," he said. "Still here." Min-sok and Ha-un ran down the emergency stairs. They reached the lower level. The killer rose slowly. It lifted one claw for the final strike. Jiho stood in front of it. He did not move. Min-sok shouted, "Now, Sujin!" The secondary shields dropped. A wave of raw heat blasted out. The killer turned toward the reactor. Jiho used the last of his strength. He charged one more time. He slammed his shoulder into the killer's chest, right at the biggest crack. The armor shattered. Blue energy exploded outward. The killer staggered back. It hit the broken railing. It grabbed for something. Its claws scraped air. Jiho shoved again. Hard. The killer fell. It dropped straight into the reactor core. A bright flash lit everything. The plasma swallowed the black shape. A scream, not human, echoed once. Then silence. The core shook. Alarms screamed. But the shield snapped back up just in time. Jiho fell to his knees. He stared at the spot where the killer had been. Ha-un reached him first. She dropped beside him. Tears wet her fur. "Jiho." He looked at her. He tried to smile. "Told you, free snacks after." Then his eyes closed. He fell forward. Min-sok caught him. "Get medical teams here now." The station lights steadied. The alarms quieted. Jiho had won. Medical teams rushed into the core chamber. Their white suits glowed under the blue reactor light. They carried stretchers and emergency kits. Two medics knelt beside Jiho right away. One checked his pulse, the other scanned his body with a small device. Beeps filled the air. "He's stable," the first medic said. "Broken ribs, burns, heavy bruising, but he's breathing steady." Ha-un stood close, her hands twisted together. Tears still wet her fur. She watched every move they made. Min-sok stood nearby. His gray skin looked pale. He kept his eyes on Jiho. The medics lifted Jiho carefully onto the stretcher. They strapped him in. One medic spoke into his comm. "We have the human, critical but stable, heading to medbay level 3. They moved fast. Ha-un followed right behind. Min-sok stayed a moment longer. He looked at the reactor core. The place where the killer had fallen. Just a faint glow and the smell of burned metal. Sujin's voice came over the station speakers. "All clear. Threat neutralized. Systems returning to normal. Damage control teams to core level." Delegates slowly came out of hiding. They walked through the broken atrium. Some helped others who were hurt. Whispers spread fast. Everyone talked about the same thing. The human who laughed at death. In the medbay, bright white lights shone down. Machines hummed softly. Jiho lay on a bed. Tubes ran into his arm. A soft blanket covered him. His face looked peaceful in sleep. The cuts on his forehead had been cleaned. Small bandages held the skin together. Ha-Un sat in a chair beside him. She held his hand. Her soft fur brushed his fingers. She had not left since they brought him in. Minsok entered quietly. He stood at the door. "How is he?" "The doctor says he will wake soon," Ha-Un answered. "He needs rest, but he is strong." "He is more than strong. He saved us all." Hours passed. The station slowly returned to order. Repair crews worked on walls and floors. Engineers fixed the broken systems. News traveled fast through the galactic channels. Ships far away picked up the signal. A killer attacked the Concord station. A single human defeated it, laughing. Delegates from many worlds gathered in the repaired atrium. They spoke in low voices. Some looked shocked, others looked thoughtful. The Vexar crystals shimmered brighter when they talked about it. The lurid feathers ruffled with excitement. One old lurid delegate said, "Humans were always strange. Now we see why. They come from a world that tries to kill them every day, and they laugh." A Krell elder nodded. "The killer was made to scare us. It worked on all of us, except him." Word reached Earth too. Humans on the homeworld watched the reports. They cheered in bars and homes. Deathworlder through and through. Back on the station, Jiho opened his eyes. The lights felt too bright at first. He blinked a few times. Then he saw Ha-Un. "Hey," he said. His voice sounded rough. "Did I miss the snacks?" Ha-Un laughed. It was the first real laugh since the attack. Her ears lifted. "You scared us, Jiho." "Sorry," he said. He tried to sit up. Pain stopped him. He lay back down. "Ow. Okay. Moving later." Minsok stepped closer. He gave a small salute. "You have our thanks, all of us." Jiho waved a weak hand. "No big deal. Just another Tuesday." Ha-Un shook her head. "It was a very big deal. The whole galaxy knows now." Jiho looked at her. "Knows what?" "That humans don't freeze," Minsok said. "That when fear comes, you fight, and you laugh." Jiho smiled. "Good. Maybe they'll stop treating us like weird new kids." Days passed. Jiho got stronger. He walked the halls with help at first, then alone. Scars stayed on his arms and chest. He did not hide them. He wore short sleeves so people could see. Delegates came to visit. They brought gifts. A crystal from Vexar. Feathers from Lorid. Soft blankets from Krell. Jiho thanked each one. He made jokes. They laughed with him now, not at him. One evening, Ha-Un took him to the observation deck. Big windows showed the gas giant below. Swirls of orange and purple clouds moved slow. Stars filled the black above. They sat on a bench. Jiho leaned back. "Nice spot." Ha-Un looked at him. "Jiho, why did you laugh, even when it hurt?" Jiho thought for a moment. "On Earth, bad things happen all the time. Storms, sickness, accidents. If you let fear win, you stop living. So we laugh. It reminds us we're still here, still fighting." Ha-Un nodded slowly. "I was so scared, but when you laughed, it made me brave too." Jiho put his arm around her shoulders. Gentle. "You shot at it. You stayed with me." She leaned against him. "We make a good team." "Yeah," he said. "We do." The summit started again a week later. The same atrium, new chairs, clean floors. Delegates sat in their places, but the feeling was different. No one looked nervous when Jiho walked in. He took his seat next to Ha-Un. He wore a fresh uniform. A small medal hung on his chest. The Concord had given it to him, for exceptional courage. Jiho looked at it. "Fancy. Does it come with snacks?" Ha-Un smiled. "I will get you some." The summit leader, Lyra, stood up. Her crystal body glowed warm. "We meet again. Thanks to one among us, we are still here to speak of peace." Everyone looked at Jiho. He raised a hand. "Don't look at me. I just didn't like the guy's attitude." Laughter filled the room, real laughter. Even the guards smiled. Lyra continued. Humans have shown us something new. Fear can be faced. And when it is faced with courage and humor, it loses power. Jiho leaned back. He felt tired but good. The galaxy had changed a little. Species that once stayed away now wanted to talk to humans. Ships asked for human crews. Stations asked for human guards. Jiho looked at Ha-Un. Next summit better have better food. She laughed. I will make sure. Minsok walked over. He stood tall. Jiho, if you ever need backup, call me. Jiho grinned. Deal, but next time, you bring the snacks. The meeting went on. Talks about trade, borders, trust. But underneath it all was something new. Respect for the Deathworlder who laughed when everyone else froze. Jiho looked out a window. Stars shone bright. He thought of Earth, sharks, bears, mosquitoes, storms, and now a killer in the stars. He smiled to himself. Still here, he whispered. And somewhere, in the quiet of space, the galaxy listened.